Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be showing you all how I made about $1,700 in 10 minutes trading QQQ. For those who don't know, QQQ is an ETF based on the Nasdaq. Primarily, it's known as a tech stock encompassed of large companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon, which makes it, in my opinion, a medium risk stock to trade. It does offer higher volatility levels in comparison to if you were to trade Apple or Microsoft by themselves, but it doesn't quite reach the level of volatility that Amazon or Tesla reach as individual stocks. In particular, I like trading QQQ because when backtesting trades to view the stock's performance, I generally see more opportunities to make high probability plays. Also, the return on capital tends to be higher than that of other ETF stocks in the same category. So to start, what I like to do is open a payoff curve to see the break-even points, which I'll show in just a second. To secure a high win rate, I like to set up trades that have a high return curve, and that's just based on implied volatility to ensure that the odds are in my favor. Option Strat is a good resource for this, which I'll share in another video, but let's go ahead and jump into the chart so you guys can see where I entered the trade. First, I created a supply and demand zone. To do this, I obviously had to chart for various areas for support and resistance. I look for zones that have been respected in order to look for sell-offs or cues to buy in. If the price is respected at a given point, I look for trends that show it was used as a retest and then was brought to a new high or a new low. So with that being said, you guys can see I'm on the yearly chart. So I'm going to go ahead and start to pinpoint. Again, go to drawing tools. I talked about this in my last video. You guys would look for this money sign for price levels. And again, we see the high for the year was 449. The low was 309. So I'm going to chart for those two obvious ones to start. And I'm going to extend it. Same thing with the 309 here. And there's not really a whole ton that I want to go over with this yearly chart. I'm just kind of looking for reversions, gap fills, just the obvious things so that you guys can see how you would go about charting on these types of time frames. And you know what? I think I want to edit that to 436. And then I see quite a few areas of obvious support and resistance. And again, all of it is about just learning charts and learning technical analysis and the history of how stocks move. So I'm not going to do too much on the yearly, okay? I'm going to go ahead and drop it down to the 1 minute chart so you guys can see specifically how I went ahead and made the trade. Again, this was a 10-minute trade. All right, so with that being said, you guys already know that lunchtime is usually my favorite time to trade just because generally I see a lot of profits. So I'm going to go ahead and look and focus on that 1 hour of lunch. So you see here at 12:03 that there was a doji. And if anybody knows anything about stocks and charts, you know a doji is usually the sign for a reversal. So it's usually an indicator that whatever the stock is doing, if it's in an uptrend, more than likely after the doji, it will go into a downtrend. And if it's in a downtrend, after the doji, it'll likely go into an uptrend. So we see that it's typically going to remain true. Okay, so we see that there. But that wasn't enough for me to enter this trade at 12:03. Me being very patient and just understanding stocks, I went ahead and I paused and I just said, let me just wait it out. So again, I waited. And then we see at this 12:32 mark, there was another doji, okay? At this point, that was my second indication based upon the EMA, and then I also had a few other indicators on the screen. So this was kind of just my heads up to know that this may be a high probability trade, which it was, because I went ahead and just kind of waited it out a few more minutes. And then at the 12:38 mark, you guys can see here, this is when I went ahead and entered the trade. And I pretty much just rode this stock all the way up for about 10 minutes up until about 12:48, and that's when I hopped out of this trade. Now, with that being said, I went ahead and I made sure that I had, like I said, those indicators. I've already showed you guys what the EMA is, the RSI, all that good stuff. We can see that there wasn't a whole ton of volume backing this, you know, as far as when the doji initially took place. But we see again here at the 12:40 mark, there was a higher interest in volume, and then that pretty much persisted with, again, 1243. It got even higher with volume. So this was enough for me to make a considerable amount of profit just because of the number of contracts that I put in for this call. With that being said, again, you're just riding it up. Now, I did have a few runners that I kind of continued to let go, and then they kind of stayed until about, I think I was completely out of this trade by 1248, 1249. And that's pretty much how this particular trade went. So what I want to do now is kind of show you guys some of the studies. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go ahead and type in RSI. That way you guys can see. And I'm also going to do the exponential moving average. Do two of those so you guys can see the 9-day. I like to have that color green. And then I'm going to also have the 21-day EMA as well. And I like to have that color remain blue. Okay. All right. So again, we're keeping it on the 1-minute chart so you guys have a reference point for this. Okay. So let's kind of jump into what I see in terms of the EMAs and the RSI. So again, I hopped into the trade and I hopped out. It was again 10 minutes. I seen a doji here. Again at the 1203, seen another doji at 1232, hopped into the trade at 1238, hopped out of the trade at 1248. So 10 minutes of trading is all I needed. Okay. So we see the RSI here at the 1238 mark. We can see it being pretty low. Okay, it's not as low as 30, but at this midpoint, it's about 39. So with it being lunchtime and me understanding that, again, it's not a high amount of volume following this, I wasn't trying to essentially just come up off a trade to make $10,000, $20,000. No, I knew it would be a very small trade. But again, it's all about being patient. So again, the RSI was a clue indicator. We also see where the green line is for the EMA. You guys can see this exponential moving average, the 9-day. We see where the blue line is for the EMA. That's the 21-day, okay? So just keeping all these things in mind, I knew exactly what I was looking for. Now, some people see this cross here at the 1242 mark, and again, wise traders know exactly what this means. So you pretty much understand what play you could have made. If you didn't hop in at 1238, maybe 1242 would have been a better time for you. It just all depends on the trader, okay? Now, with that being said, I also want to kind of focus on, show you guys this so you can see it on the 5-minute chart. Okay, because it's good to see it on different frames. So you guys can see here, 1230 mark, 1240 mark, 1250 mark. Okay, I hope you guys are kind of trying to see the pattern that I'm pinpointing. I'm going to drop it down to a 15-minute. That way you can see from all kind of areas. Again, 1230, 1245. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and drop it down. Or actually, I'm going to bring it back to the yearly so you guys can see. Now, that 436 area was a point that I made. So let me see if I actually charted for that. And I did. You guys can see this here. That would have been exactly what I needed to know because I had previously charted for 436, as you guys can see here on the screen, when I initially started to chart for the year. So we also see it here. So then when I zoom it in and I drop it down to the 1-minute chart to pretty much confirm what I knew, we're going to go ahead and take a look. Let me focus again on that lunch hour. And we're going to look here. You guys see where's the level at? 436. Okay, so it's really just as simple as that. I know some people make these videos kind of look difficult with like understanding stocks and trades and when to hop in, when to hop out. But it's all about understanding how the stock either respects support and resistance or it pretty much retests and it'll either make a reversion after that. Okay, so if you can understand that, you can understand why 436 was obviously a price level that meant something. It was important, it was valuable, and then of course we see a doji actually happen at the same price level. So if you can understand the basics of that, and again, I'll make more videos to kind of go more in depth about understanding dojis and understanding different indicators and how they all combine to make either a really, really great trade or a not so wise trade. I'll kind of go more in depth in that, but I just wanted to show you guys how I was able to kind of just hop into this 10 minutes make $1,700, and then just hop out and be done for the day. This is the only trade I made on Friday, the only one. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.